In general, the concept of a barbershop implies a male domain. However, many women seek haircutting services from a barber. One should never assume that a barbershop is just for men. There are women today that walk into barbershop and request a service. Perhaps they saw the way their husband, son, or friend had their hair cut, and they want that same level of detail. A professional barber should be willing to be able to accumulate the requests of any client, male or female. Many cosmetology salons maintain a fairly equal ratio of male to female clients. If you choose to work in a cosmetology salon, it is a must to be proficient and confident in cutting and styling women's hair. This chapter will guide you to build upon the basic foundations of cutting, styling men's hair, and applying that knowledge to women's cuts and styles. With a few variations of the same terminology will be used to accomplish 4 basic haircuts in this chapter: blunt cut, graduate cut, uniform layer cut, long layer cut. Since women's service does not usually end with the haircut, this chapter will introduce some basic styling techniques. Styling women's hair tends to be more involved process than styling men's hair, and includes such techniques such as wet setting, hair wrapping, styling with a blow drying, styling with a curling iron. This chapter addresses only those techniques that can accomplish use a blow dryer, thermal iron, or wrapping. For information and procedures regarding wet setting, finger waving, and pin curls, refer to My Lady Standard Cosmetology Textbook and MyLadyPro.com. There are many different between cutting women's hair and cutting men's hair. Short, tapered men's cuts usually appear more angular in their overall form. Women's short cuts appear more rounded in their softer looking. In women's haircutting, curved design lines, feathering, or texturizing as the perimeter is soft used or soften the look of a short cut. Women's cuts tend to require more styling than men's cuts to achieve the final look. Women cuts and styles often require manipulating longer lengths of hair than men cuts and style. Remember these rules when cutting women's hair to ensure you provide the best service for your client. Start with clean, conditioned hair. Pay attention to the client's head position during your haircut. Your body position should be comfortable and easy to maintain. Pay attention to your finger placement. Comb through the practice the finger placement you will send before actually cutting the hair. Take consistent, clean parting to procedure precise results. Keep the hair damp when cutting. Work with the natural growth patterns, not against them. Use the appropriate amount of tension when combing and holding sections of the hair. Comb through parting or subsections. Allow work with a guide or guideline. The mirror is one of your most important tools. Plan for the shrinkage factor that results when the hair dries. Always check and cross-check your work. The art of women haircut is made up of a variation of combination of 4 basic haircuts: blunt, graduated, uniform layered, long layered. As with men haircuts, a variety of elevations and hand positions are used to create these effects. The blunt cut is also known as the one-length cut because all the hair strands in one level to form heavy weight line at the perimeter. Blunt cuts look like the hair is the same length, but the hair is actually all falling to one point and is of varying lengths. The head should be held in an upright position to avoid shifting the hair out of its natural fall position. If the head is positioned forward, an undercut will be created. The design line at the perimeter may be cut in a horizontal, diagonal forward, or diagonal back line. Haircut tips for a blunt cut. Shampoo and condition a hair before cutting. Maintain Maintain uniform moisture in the hair while cutting. Work with the natural growth patterns of the hair. Keep the client's head upright and parallel to the floor. Take clean, parting, and subsection parallel to the design line. Comb through the subsection twice from the scalp to the end before cutting, and cut parallel to the part. Follow the comb with the fingers to maintain control of the hair parting. Cut the uniform minimal to moderate tension depending on the hair texture and elasticity. A graduated cut has a wedge or stack shape that is created by cutting with tension at a low-medium elevation. The most common elevation for graduated cut is 45 degrees. Graduated cuts build weight and volume along the perimeter of the hairstyle. The graduated haircut can be accomplished with either horizontal or vertical parting. The horizontal method is described in the following procedure with the reference to the vertical parting technique noted applicable. Hair cutting tips for graduated cut. Shampoo and condition the hair before cutting. Graduation makes fine hair of average density appear thicker and fuller. Maintain the same elevation around the perimeter when cutting design lines. Maintain even uniform tension and moisture throughout the haircut when cutting at a 45-degree angle away from the head. Blend from the subsection to another. Work with the natural growth patterns of the hair. Comb through the subsections twice from the scalp to the ends by cutting. Hold the hair that is being cut at a 45-degree elevation from the head and always use a traveling guide. Comb with the fingers and maintain control of the hair parting. Uniform layer cut. A uniform layer cut. All of the hair stands cuts in the same length at a 90-degree elevation straight out from where the hair grows. A traveling guide is used on the interior section to create layers within the interior haircut. When finished, the cut will look soft and textured and conform to the head shape without weight lines or corners. A uniform layer cut can be used to cut short or layered haircuts. Hold the hair that is being cut at a 90-degree elevation from where it grows and always use a traveling guide. Hair cutting tips for a uniform layer cut. Shampoo and condition the hair before cutting. Maintain uniform moisture in the hair while cutting. Take clean parting in subsections. Comb through the subsection twice from the scalp to the ends before cutting. Follow the comb with the fingers to maintain control of the hair parting. Either exterior or interior guides can be cut first. Avoid cutting into the perimeter. Always check design lines for bleeding in the perimeter of the cut. Work with the natural growth pattern, wave formation, and density of the hair. Always make sure the hair blends from one section to another. A long layer cut consists of increased layering that is achieved by cutting the hair at a 180-degree elevation. This cut produces progressively long layers from the top to the perimeter. Sometimes a long layer haircut begins with a stationary guide in the top section of the head. Hair cutting tips for long layer cuts. Shampoo and condition the hair before cutting. Maintain uniform moisture in the hair while cutting. Take clean, parting, and subsections. Work with only as much hair as comfortable and controllable. Either exterior or interior guides can be cut first. If in doubt about what the remaining hanging length of the hair will be when it is cut to the top guide, cut into design line at the perimeter first. Avoid cutting into the perimeter guide when layering. Always check design line for blending and perimeter of the cut. Work with the natural growth pattern, wave formation, and density of the hair. Always make sure hair blends from one section to another. Comb through subsections from scalp to the ends with even tension. Avoid steps and gaps between layers. blend section from long to short. Curly hair type ranges from large, loose curl patterns to tight, springly curls. Any type of cutting elevations can be used on curly hair. However, the results will be different from those achieved on straighter hair. For example, curly hair tends to graduate naturally due to its elasticity and curl pattern. Use less elevation if strong angles are desired. The trough and crest formation of the waves in curly hair textures needs to be taken into account when performing a haircut. Depending on the amount of curl cutting, the hair parting in the rough of the wave may cause the hair ends to flip out from the head form. Conversely, cutting just after the crest of the wave as it dips towards true may encourage the hair to fall inward towards the head form. Knowing where to cut on the wave is helpful when cutting all lengths of curly hair and should be considered when analyzing the hair texture. It is important when cutting shorter styles, especially maintenance cuts on regular customers, because the amount of hair to be cut may have to be adjusted according to the wave pattern at any given time. For example, a client with wavy to curly hair has a standing appointment every 4 weeks. Assume that the hair grows at an average of ½ inch per month. If the hair was cut at a point just after the crest of the wave during the previous haircut service, those hair ends may now be a part of those trough that develops as the hair curls naturally. Be careful not to automatically cut a ½ inch off the hair during the next visit, because it may encourage the curl to wave out from the head form. Cutting a little less or a little more will place the cut line at the crest of the wave gain and encourage the hair to curl toward the head form instead of away from it. Depending on the overall length of the hair, short natural cuts and extremely curly hair can be created by using a freehand clipper or fingers and shear cutting technique. The hair is tapered at the perimeter and may be tapered, rounded, and wedged from the sides to the top section. When using clippers, the hair should be clean and dry. Fingers and shear cutting is usually performed on clean, damp hair. The decision to use clippers or shears will depend on the density and texture of the hair. Thick, coarse hair types are easier to cut with the clippers. Curly hair of medium density and a softer curl may easier to cut with the shears. The rule for fingers and shear cutting are extremely curly hair is that if a parting can be made and held between the index and second finger, fingers and shear cutting can be performed. Hair cutting tips for cutting curly hair. Observe the density and curl pattern closely. Sometimes extremely curly hair gives the illusion the scalp will not be seen and the hair is cut close, but in reality it may continue to curl and upon itself in its small tufts, leaving parting throughout the hair and scalp exposed. Use your comb as a guard around the hairline to avoid cutting the hair too close to the head. After each cut with the clipper, comb, or pick of the hair to check the effect, create flattering and prominent design forms throughout the parietal and apex section. In addition to the basic hair cutting elevation, other techniques that can be used to create different effects in the appearance and behavior of the hair include over-direction, razor cutting, texturizing. Over-direction occurs when the hair is combed away from its natural fall position. This technique is shifting the hair into a different position that can be used to increase the length in the perimeter design, blend short and long lengths along the perimeter line or interior section. Razor cutting produces an angle at the ends of the hair that results in softer shapes with a more movement and visual separation than shear cutting. Generally, haircuts that can be accomplished with the shears can also be performed with the razor. When cutting hair with the razor, the hair must be damped. Texturizing techniques can be used to remove excess bulk, add volume, create movement, or create wispy and spiky effects. The most commonly used texturizing techniques are point cutting is performed at the end of the hair using the tips of the shears at a steep shear angle in relation to the hair parting. Notching creates a chunkier effect than point cutting and is produced by positioning the shears at a flatter angle to the end of the hair. Freehand notching is also accomplished with the tips of the shears, but is usually performed within the interior section of the hair. Slithering is the process of thinning the hair to gradually length with the shears, and which produces volume and movement. The hair is cut using a sliding shear movement with the blades kept particularly openly. Slicing also removes bulk and adds movement in the hair. The blades are kept open and only the proportion of the blade near the pivot is used for cutting. Carving is a version of slicing that creates a separation in the hair. The shears are moved throughout the hair with an open and closing movement that carves out sections of the hair. Carving the end of the hair will create a texture and separation at the perimeter. As with hair cutting, the first step in a hairstyling process is the constellation. During the constellation, guide the client toward the most suitable hairstyle for her face shape, hair texture, and lifestyle. Keep style magazines accessible for easy reference during constellation. Hairstyling techniques including wet hairstyling, blow-dry styling, thermal styling, natural dry styling. Discuss and procedures for hair wrapping and molding, blow drying, styling, curling irons, pressing combs, and flatteners are included in this chapter. For finger wave, pin curls, and roller sections procedures, refer to My Lady Standard Cosmetology textbook. Wet hairstyling is accomplished by hair wrapping, hair molding, finger waving, pin curls, and roller curl sets. The tool needed includes rollers, pin curl clips, sectioning clips, all-purpose combs, brushes, setting lotions. Finger waving is the process of shaping and directing the hair into an S-shaped pattern through the use of fingers, combs, and setting lotion. Pin curls are a basic for pattern lines, waves, and curls used in a variety of hairstyles. They are wound from the hair ends into a spiral or circle, creating a flattened curl formation against the head. Pin curls are secured with a hair clip, dried, and styled. Roller set, a pattern in the hair that will form the basic for a hairstyle. Wet hair is wrapped around rollers, which are available in a variety of materials, shapes, and sizes. Plastic rollers are used for most wet roller sets. Hot rollers are used on dry hair. Velcro rollers are used on wet or dry hair. Natural dry styling. Once the hair is towel dry, it is combed into place or arranged into a style with the hands and fingers. It is then allowed to dry naturally. Natural dry styling requires minimal manipulation of the hair. Hair wrapping is a technique used to keep curly hair smooth and straight while retaining a beautiful shape. Curly hair can be wrapped around the head to give a smooth, rounded contour resulting in an effect that is similar to that attained with rollers. When wrapping the hair, very little volume is obtained between the hair and the scalp is not lifted. If height is desired, you can place large rollers directly at the crown with the remainder of the hair wrapped around the head. Wrapping can be done on wet or dry hair. When wrapping dry hair, use a silicone shine product instead of using a gel. This will provide a glossy comb out. On curly hair, wet wrapping creates a smooth, sleek look. When working with very curly hair, press it first and then do a dry wrapping. Hair molding. is the process of combing the hair straight down over the client's head, followed by drying and finishing with thermal irons. Like hair wrapping, hair molding also uses the client's head as a form or tool. Blow drying styling is the technique of drying and styling damp or wet hair in one step. A blow dryer, brush, and style products are used to style the hair. Blow drying can be prepared the hair for thermal iron curling or straightening. Comb with the foundation of a good haircut. Blow drying styling is quick, relatively simply option. Thermal styling. Use heat to produce curls and waves or straighten hair. Thermal waving is performed with Marcel irons or electrical thermal irons. There are two important factors to consider when creating curls with a curling iron. The burial size of the iron determines the size of the wave or curl. Projection of the hair from the scalp will determine where the curl sits in relation to its base. The difference between a Marcel iron and a curling iron are: a curling iron has a spring mechanism that holds the clamp tight to the barrel. A Marcel iron has a clamp that is controlled manually by user. Understanding of the three parts of a curl will help explain the relationship between hair projections, bases, and volumes. The base is the stationary foundation of the curl on which the barrel is placed. The stem is the hair between the scalp and the first arc of the circle. The circle forms the curl as the hair is wrapped around the barrier or roller. The ultimate size of the curl along the length of the hair shaft depends on how it is wrapped. A hair section that is wrapped in a spiral along a curling iron barrel will have more uniform curl formation than a hair section that is repeatedly wrapped around itself over one section of the barrel. There are three kinds of bases used in thermal styling. On base, roller placement sits directly on base and produces a full volume. On base placement is achieved by slightly over directing the hair beyond 90 degrees in front of the base. Half off base. Roller placement sits halfway on and halfway behind the base after roller, the hair parting at 90 degrees. This gives less volume than on-base placements, but more volume than off-base placements. Off-base roller placement produces the least amount of volume and sits completely off the base. The hair is held at a 45 degree from the base and rolled down to the scalp. Thermal hair straightening, also known as hair pressing, temporarily straightens hair by using heating pressing combs or irons. Pressing generally lasts until the next shampoo. Although high humidity and other weather conditions can cause the hair to apparently revert to its natural condition, following a shampoo and blow dry, the hair is prepared for the process servers with the application of a pressing cream or oil. These products make the hair softer and help prevent the hair from burning or scorching. In some cases, environmental conditions may determine what type of press to use. Soft press removes 50 to 60% of the curl, accomplished by applying the pressing comb once to each side of the hair section. Medium press removes 60 to 75% of the curl, performed in the same manner as the soft press but with more pressure. Hard press removes 100% of the curl, involves 2 applications of pressing comb on the side of the hair sections. Safety precaution for thermal curl pressing iron. Use thermal irons only after receiving instructions on their use. Keep irons clean. Always test the temperature of the iron before using it on a client. Do not overheat irons. Handle and remove heated irons in stove carefully. Do not place heated stove near a station mirror as the heat can cause breakage. Place a hard rubber comb between the client's scalp and the iron. Never use a metal comb when performing thermal styling services. Place heated stove and irons in a safe place to cool. Electric flat irons are used to temporarily straighten hair. They can also be used to give direction to straighter hair texturizers styles while imparting a glossy finished look to their hair. Flat irons are available in many sizes, from mini irons for short hair lengths or tight styling areas to larger irons suitable for larger, longer hair styling. Flat irons should only be used on clean, dry hair because heat applied to hair that has oil or styling products buildup can damage the hair and the iron. The application of a leave-in thermal styling product is recommended before drying the hair to protect the hair from heat damage. Excessive heat damage the hair, so care needs to be taken to monitor the temperature of the flat iron. Test the temperature by placing a piece of misted tissue paper between the heated plates. If the temperature is safe to apply to the hair, the moisturizer and the paper will evaporate without leaving any evidence of scorching. Safety precaution for flat irons. Use flat irons only after receiving instruction on their use. Keep iron clean. Choose the right size of the iron to achieve desired results. Start with clean, conditioned, and thorough dried hair. Always test the temperature of the iron before using it on the client. Do not overheat irons. Section the hair according to the density of the hair and the size of the iron. Handle and remove heated iron carefully. Place a hard rubber comb between the client's scalp and the iron. Never use a metal comb when performing thermal styling services. Place heated irons in a safe place to cool.